Enthusiast or buyer, cars or bikes, all that you need from the auto world is right here on the Autocar India channel. Subscribe now. Well, this is a story that I think so many of you have written in to us about, and I think it's a story that almost everyone is waiting for.
Not exactly everyone. Someone like me who loves off-roading and loves the outdoors.
I guess actually you're right, because this is not really for everybody out there. These are cars that either people who want to make a lifestyle statement will enjoy, or of course those who love living the wild side in the outdoors. Well, no off-road story is done without our resident off-road expert Rahul Kakar.
And I'm going to be the one who will put them through their paces.
He's defined his role. My role, I guess, is to trail him and find out which one we like better. It's hot, dry and arid, but we have a playground for these two cars and we throw whatever we can at them and have loads of fun. But at the best, we could call this trail medium in difficulty. I think except for a lot of exercise on my arms, this seems pretty easy. Not too bad at all. The Thar steering makes me work hard, but the Gurkha steering is still the heavier one. And when the slopes get a bit slippery, the Gurkha loses out compared to the Thar.
Well, it took a few attempts, but it did it.
Both cars seem to be going over whatever we throw at them, but they each have their advantages and disadvantages. The Thar's 2.5-litre common rail diesel engine with 107 HP and 247 Nm of torque gives it an ability to clamber up slopes quite easily. The Gurkha has the larger 2.6-litre common rail diesel engine but puts out only 85 HP of power and 230 Nm of torque. The Gurkha's lower power figure is even more compromised when you consider that it weighs 2,050 kilos as against the Thar's 1,750 kilo curb weight. So the Thar's power is what gives it the advantage on inclines that have loosely packed gravel or sandy slopes. To claw back some advantage, the Gurkha comes with the manual locking differentials on the front and rear axles. The Thar has a mechanical or automatic locking differential on the rear axle. The diff lock engages in low traction situations when a wheel speed difference of 100 rpm or greater is detected. But since you can't engage the lock manually, it's difficult to control when you actually need it. And let's try a different direction.
I must say the Gurkha is really impressive. I've driven the Thar a lot, but never expected the Gurkha to be equally capable. It seems like nothing is impossible on this one.
The Thar's necessity to cross the 100 rpm mark before the diff lock kicks in makes it a little hard to crawl out of tricky situations. But in the Gurkha, you simply engage the diff lock when you need it. However, engaging and disengaging this diff lock can be a bit of a wrestle with the lever, as we discovered. Over the high ridges, the Gurkha may seemingly have the advantage with a 10mm ground clearance over the Thar. But anyone who has been off-road knows what matters more are approach, departure and ramp over angles. Here the Thar has the clear advantage with a 44-degree approach angle and a 27-degree departure angle with a ramp over angle of 15 degrees. The Gurkha's figures are clearly lower. Still, although you might bend the Gurkha's bumpers, you will end up beached over a crest far fewer times than in a Thar. With its snorkel, the Gurkha would also have the advantage in water, but in this dry, arid place, there was nowhere to test that ability.
That was lots of fun. I had a complete blast, and I have to say, I'm ready to buy one of these just to get to the outdoors. But that's not what they have to do. They have to serve another purpose as well. So you wear it your way, and as cheesy as this sounds, we're now going to do it my way.
Which is, of course, the highway.
Yes, absolutely right. My turn to drive the Force Gurkha now, and I have to say straight off, there are quite a few things that I find different. First one being visibility. I can see the road just so much better. Everything falls to hand so much easier. There are lots of storage spaces which are so much more accessible and easy to reach. Steering is a bit more angled like a truck or a van, but I quite like it, and I think settling in and getting comfortable here is quite easy. The seats are also wider and more comfy. Another big difference I find is the ride quality. This one has just got a softer edge to it. It's less jarring. It thuds less through the bumps and potholes, and overall it just feels more comfortable and planted.
The Thar is definitely the firmer of the two, and its suspension is also heard at work a lot more than in the Gurkha.
Now what really helps the Gurkha out on a highway is its hard top. It just insulates the outside sound so much better. But what negates all of that is this engine sound. The more you push, the louder it gets. And where the Thar quietens down when it's cruising, this one still remains loud. Where the Gurkha really disappoints is in the way that it performs out on a highway. It runs out of breath. You have your foot flat down, and it's doing really very little except for making quite a lot of noise.
While the Gurkha may win on refinement on many fronts, the engine is a sore point. Noise from the engine is something you're going to have to live with, because you will have to keep pushing it to get anywhere, and when you do, it protests rather loudly. Especially on a highway, it feels underpowered, and you do feel like you are lugging that extra weight.
Well, I think I'm going to settle back into the Thar now and continue the rest of my journey. Yes, I have come one story down, I realize. This is a little lower to sit in, but I've still got a nice commanding position, good enough visibility of the road. But I'm happy to be behind this wheel again. That's because this engine just breathes so much easier, just accelerates so much better, and it actually has power. I never thought I'd say that the Thar was quick, but in comparison, it is.
And it's not only that, because it has more power, you can settle into a cruise much easier. And so even though we can't really call these two engines refined, it is the Thar that has the advantage.
Now, neither of the two engines is quiet, but if we are talking in terms of refinement, then the Thar's engine is the better of the two. Especially as you pick up the pace, it does quieten down. But as you can hear from the sounds around me, there's a lot more noise that you have to deal with. The tailgate rattles quite a bit, the soft top is flapping around, and those are sounds you're going to have to live with.
Whatever it gains on engine refinement, the Thar absolutely loses in other areas. Still, the overall experience behind the wheel is the better one.
The Thar may be smaller in size, but I think that's an advantage because it just feels so much more compact, so much more maneuverable. Even when you're going around the corners, it just feels tidier. The steering is also just so much more direct. It lets you feel exactly what your tires are doing. It's lighter too, the clutch is lighter too, so it's easier to drive.
And so after a stint off-road and on-road, I'm able to find the winner.
Well, I've been off-roading after a hell of a long time and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the differences between these two cars are literally like a hair's breadth here and a hair's breadth there. On-road, the differences show up far more than off-road. That's where the Gurkha comes across as the one that's a little bit more refined, if we may call it that, ergonomically. It's easier to use practicality-wise. There's more storage, the ride is more comfortable, the hard top makes it easy to lock and go away. So it does have its practical and more comfortable side. So if you're looking for a good mix between doing that hardcore off-roading and something that you can live with, even in the city limits, then the Gurkha is probably a better choice. But hey, if you're like me, you enjoy being behind the wheel, you enjoy driving, then it's definitely the Thar that still steals your heart with the better performance, the ease of driving, the more direct steering, the compact dimensions, just makes it so much more fun to drive.